It's Frank here with 4D Honeybee, and you can see that this hive has a lot of activity on it. It was my struggling hive. Out of the three, it's the one that's been doing just the slowest. Again, not anything that would make me want to replace a queen, but just hasn't been going as well as its two sister hives here. So I put a second brood box on it, moved some brood up into it, and then I've put a feeder on it. So I've fed it, about 3 to 4 gallons of sugar water, and they consumed it in like 4 days. It's amazing how quickly they suck back that sugar water. So that was about 5 days ago that they finished the sugar water, and I couldn't get back up here to keep feeding them. But I want to see how they're doing in that second brood box here. And if they're not drawing it out very well, then I may consider continuing to feed them. If they are drawing it out well, if they have brood in there, then I might just let them go. So here's the top feeder that I was using. Excuse me. And this top feeder works really well. It's completely empty. It doesn't even have condensation on the lid. That's how well they have fed on it. You can see just how it works here. You put the sugar water in, they come up through the hole in the middle. They come down into that cup, and it's got serrations on it so they can grip themselves and eat, and there's no mortality with this feeder. It's also very nice and clean. There's no mold on it either, which is great news. So I'll just set this feeder down and have a look, and then decide whether or not I want to continue feeding or not. Now these bees are incredibly calm. I can see inside right now they're barely moving. And I think I'm going to keep them calm by giving them a puff of smoke. I'm not going to smoke the main entrance. I'm just going to smoke underneath this board and the top brood box. Just to keep them from changing their current disposition. Again, working without gloves and shorts for the first time. And I can't say I'm not nervous about it, to be honest with you. I've only done it a couple of times without gloves. And I hope it's making me a better beekeeper. Although you just really have to remain calm. Like if you're going to work without gloves, that's one thing. But if you're working without gloves and just smashing bees because you're dropping frames all over the place, then you're probably not doing the right thing. So just looking for the queen on this lid. I'm not particularly good at spotting the queen, but gotta look for her anyway. I usually don't move the lid very far from the hive in any case, whether I spot her or not. I've never actually found the queen on the lid, but there's every reason that she could be there, right? So I'll just set that down to the side, and wow, it looks really good up here. When I last saw this, there were only about 6 frames built out. And now it pretty much looks like all 10 frames are built out. So this hive is definitely ready for a honey super. The big fat drone right there. Just being a drone. Alright, so I'm going to look at a couple frames here. But I'm pretty confident that, 8 out of 10 is sort of my guideline. If 8 out of 10 of the frames are built out, then it's time to add on. Because they need room to build, right? Now this frame is a honey frame, and it is jam-packed. It's very heavy, I can tell already before even lifting it out. Wow. That is so heavy. That must be like 13, 14 pounds. And this has got a lot of honey in it, but it's also got the odd drone comb in it and some funny comb at the bottom. So I don't know if that's a sign that this queen is not great. Why they'd lay drone comb in the middle of a honey frame is weird to me. Like this side is full of honey, you can see it. Then this side here, it's got some really weird stuff happening. the bottom how there's some funky drone comb and bird comb and all kinds of stuff. Now last week there was nothing on this frame, so they've been building, there's no doubt. And frankly, I really don't know what that means. I'm going to relocate this feeder here. This frame down here. Okay, so I'll pull a couple more frames just to see that they're laying brood in here. I'm sure that they are, because there's a lot more bees in here than there were a week ago. Give them a little puff of smoke across the top. And that should do it. And you know, I mean, working without gloves is fine, but I do think I'll probably end up wearing rubber gloves or something because the propolis is just amazing. I mean, you notice your gloves get full of it. When you get it on your fingers, you realize how hard it is to take off. So again, here's a frame with some drone comb on it and some brood and some honey. It's not a bad looking frame. Might be able to see some eggs on this frame too. Lots of drone comb on this side as well, so no, it's just some drone comb and then nectar. Again, not great organization here. It would be nice to see this frame building from the inside out. It doesn't look like anything's hatched recently. It just looks like it's got a whole bunch of drone comb and then honey or nectar. This side looks like it's mostly honey with drone comb on the bottom, which is not out of the ordinary, and drone comb kind of in the middle. Now, it may be that these frames are a little oddly shaped. Can you notice, can you see more or less what looks like an indentation here on the right side of this frame, right in the middle? And maybe that's why they're not drawing it out all that normally, but have a look at this side. Watch where you put your fingers, watch where you put your fingers. And you can see, again, it's a weird pattern with drone comb right in the middle, surrounded by honey. That's not something that I'm used to seeing. So, okay, let's put this one back in. Watch the fingers. Watch the fingers. And then we'll pull a couple more frames. And again, you know what? A week ago there was nothing on those frames. So they are building something. There's a lot of bees in this hive now. There's bees on all 10 frames of the second brood box. So, you know, that part is going well. It's just the pattern kind of looks odd to me. This is a frame just full of pollen and honey. Not true. Full of pollen, honey, and larvae. Let's have a look for the queen here. Let's see if I can spot some eggs. I mean, the larva was eggs just a few days ago, but I love seeing like every stage of development of a bee. You know, it's nice to see eggs, followed by larva, followed by pupa. Queen's not on this side, maybe on this side. Well, you know what it is here is that they're really not finished drawing out these frames. That's what it is. Actually, when you think of it that way, they're doing a really good job, because this frame, I can still see the foundation right in here. So they haven't drawn that out yet, but up top they've got a beautiful pattern of honey. That's exactly what you want to see, is honey on a 45-degree angle up from the corners, an inch or two across the top, and then they start laying their brood in the middle here. So that looks pretty good. And again, considering that all these frames were not drawn out, what I'm probably just seeing is that they're still in the process of drawing it out. That makes perfect sense. I mean, you feel free to comment as well, but that's what I think the evidence is pointing to right now. Now, the next couple of frames were drawn out, so they should look a little better organized. I think actually these two frames were drawn out. So I'll get to those two frames just to sort of confirm my suspicion. Those frames should look, quote unquote, more like what I'm used to seeing, what I would consider normal. Right? And I got a couple bees where I want to put my fingers, so I'm just going to move them away. And that's quite an accomplishment for me to actually reach out and touch bees with my fingers on purpose. Usually I do it by accident and I'm not very happy about it. And neither are they. Oh yeah, look at this. This is a perfect brood frame. Wow. Stunning. Let's see how it looks on this side. Yeah, this side looks pretty good as well, but that looks like more honey than brood. But take a look at the other side here. The other side is just a spectacular brood frame. So they're doing great. I'm not even going to look any further here because they're doing well. They're still not ready for a honey super yet. I guess they could be. Actually, sure, why not? Because they've got all 10 frames drawn out. So I will add a honey super here, but here's the kicker now. I only have 8 frames for the super. And I know that that's not a good thing because I had 8 frames in a previous box and they were starting to build funky comb on it because they have too much room. So I'm going to put wow, this is so heavy. It's got to be like 14 pounds. So I'm going to put the 8 frames in and then come back tomorrow and put the 9th frame in so that they don't build anything too funky in there. Alright, so that's a really good sign. I'm happy how this hive has come back. It's been doing worse than my other 2 hives. Look at how calm these bees are. They're literally just standing up at the edge of the frames looking at me, wondering what I'm going to do next. So again, very calm and very easy to work with, and this is not my most calm hive. My calmest hive is that hive over there. So I don't know what breed these bees are, and even the guy that sold them to me couldn't really tell because he's been mixing and matching for so many years. And of course they're not native to Ontario, to Toronto, so whatever these bees are, they're just a joy to work with, and I hope your bees can be as calm. And I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it helps. It's Frank here with 4D Honeybee. I'll see you next time. Wow, look at how many bees there are. That's a lot of bees.